Jordan Rains here with the IDP 411 podcast. Just want to tell you guys today about our sponsor of the show, expandtheboxscore.com. Expandtheboxscore.com has premium NFL and college football stats. They're adaptable, they're affordable, there's all kinds of great stuff on there from the NFL to college football. It's great for people that are in the Devy leagues looking to get that edge over their league mates. So go check out expandtheboxscore.com, proud sponsor of the show. And now without further ado, on to the IDP 411.
What's up? This is Jared Gray with my co-host Jordan Rains, the Dynasty Chef in the background. This is our weekly Studs and Duds podcast with the expandtheboxscore.com. Jordan, how you doing this morning?
Good. Happy to be here. It's been a good day of football yesterday. Had a lot of fun.
Man, crazy. Well, I didn't have a lot of fun. I lost like every one of my Dynasty leagues except for two. So
yeah,
three of my five. But
it happens.
So let's just get right to this. Injuries, big injuries. The Seahawks just keep getting injured. The San Francisco 49ers keep getting injured. Seahawks lost Jamal Adams to a groin strain yesterday. It looks like he was wincing just trying to cheer on the team yesterday. So I don't know how severe that's going to be. He's obviously going to be week to week. Very possibly he's out this next week. You got Budda Baker, who's having a procedure done on his thumb. Jordan Brooks hurt his knee yesterday in the Seahawks-Cowboys game.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos Dunlap got hurt yesterday right at the end of the game, going into overtime. It's just crazy, man.
We had Jabril Peppers went out with an ankle injury early.
Yep.
Grady Jarrett had like a hip situation going on. Matt Ioannidis Chase Young went out. We had a lot of IDP injuries yesterday, like a lot. So you're going to want to watch your waiver wire and be, kind of aware of who's who and what's what going on over the next couple of weeks. And we're getting into the bye weeks too here in a week or two. So you're going to want to be prepared, guys.
Yeah, bye week's coming up. You got to be – I got week 10 is my tough one right now, but, I probably trade more than any person I know in fantasy football, and I'm always trying to make moves anyway. But, man, big week. Next week's going to be fun. We got a big game tonight. They're saying game of the year. It ain't even been played yet, so we'll see what happens. Obviously, Super Bowl MVP and current NFL MVP going head-to-head. That'll be fun with some great defensive players too.
Yeah, buddy. But let's go ahead and start talking about some of these big studs yesterday. It was a big week for defensive linemen. You had a lot of guys going over 20 points. Almost 15, 16 guys going over 20 points. Aldon Smith leading the way again. This is the second week in 3 weeks that he has been the number one defensive lineman. 4 solos, 2 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, a pass defended. And these aren't cheap sacks. He sacked Russell Wilson 3 times. I don't know if a defensive lineman in the league has ever done that before.
We talked about this the other day, or actually they even talking about this morning. Russell Wilson's been sacked more times than some other player who honestly isn't very good and yet continues to do what he's doing. He has more touchdown passes than the entire NFC East. So combined, that's just crazy.
Yeah, he's a monster.
And to get to him 3 times and hit him 4 times, it easily could have been 4 sacks. We all watched the game. Aldon Smith had blew up. Some of us made mistakes on leaving him on the bench. So don't make that mistake again.
Yeah.
So
check your waiver wires too, because he still might be out there. I know he is in a couple of leagues that I'm even in. I picked him up in a few, I just didn't add him after week 1. I don't know why. Probably because I'm managing too many leagues. I'm not paying enough attention, but he's a guy that you need to go prioritize this weekend. If it's a fab situation, I would be trying to get him on my team. Let's put it that way. 2 weeks as number 1. Like, that's some Chandler Jones-ish. That's some Shaq Barrett-ish. That's that stuff that you want. That's a week winner. He finished number 1. I know you'll hear today as everybody talking about Aaron Donald, who also had a great game yesterday. Don't want to get that messed up. He had 36 points. Alden Smith did have 37, so he was a little bit ahead of him in IDP 1, 2, 3 scoring. But, I mean, Aaron Donald had a get-right week. I mean, after putting up 2 points last week, goes out, puts up 36, 5 solo tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery. I mean, that's a big game. They still lost that game to the Bills, but I mean,
Yeah.
he tried to be a difference maker for him.
Well, I mean, he got him back in it. That's for sure. People can talk about Jared Goff all they want. It's Aaron Donald who was voted #1 top player in football last year. So Aaron Donald's real. You can't never not play him. Um, Big week for him. Big week for Alden Smith, Myles Garrett. You know, you almost want to call him the big three at this point, especially with Daniel Hunter out. Myles Garrett had a big week, 4 solos, a tackle for loss, 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, a fumble recovery, and a forced fumble. So, he might even have as big a week or better next week against Dallas. So, who got to Dak? You know, Seahawks got to Dak all game long. To be honest with you.
Yeah, Myles Garrett, it was good to see him get out there and have a big game, 28 points. We didn't talk about Shaq Barrett, though. 5 solo tackles, 3 tackles for loss, an assist, a safety, 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, finishing the week as the number 3, only 2 points behind Aaron Donald with 34 points. I told y'all don't sleep on Aaron Donald. Don't or not Aaron Donald, Shaq Barrett. You know, don't bury him because he had a couple of not great weeks. You know, I mean, he's still got all the juice. I mean, that's a week winner right there, 34 points.
I watched somebody drop him in a week and literally got snatched up seconds later before I could grab him, and I was so upset. I'm like, how did we drop Shaq Barrett? Like
Yeah,
this
and
dude led the league in sacks last year.
yeah, I
So
mean, he's the number 3 defensive lineman on the week behind Alden Smith, Aaron Donald, only by 2 or 3 points. I mean, if you played him as a linebacker on Sleeper, an IDP 1, 2, 3 scoring, he's the number 2 linebacker behind Alden Smith, who's also double tagged. So, I mean, just at 2 positions, he was the top guy. I mean, that's just, you know, one of the top guys. That's just how it went. You know, he's out there playing a ton of snaps too. So I mean, I know a lot of people were like, oh, he's not going to be that good again this year, whatever. I mean, an 8-point game, a 9-point game, and a 34-point game. I mean, 8 and 9, like that's not great, but that's not tanking your team, especially at defensive line. You know, we're just talking about
yeah,
Aaron Donald. He had 2 points last week. He comes up this week, has 36. You know, Shaq Barrett had 8 points last week. He comes up and has 34. I mean, that's just the nature of the position. So, while other people are probably, you know, gassing up Aaron Donald, don't, you know, pay attention to Shaq Barrett. If there's still people out there that don't believe or think that this is a, you know, goofy sell high, you know, thing where they're still going to be selling low, go get him. That's my advice.
yeah, agreed. Who's your biggest surprise of the week
Surprise, honestly,
on
it
the
was
defensive line?
probably Montez Sweat. I thought he would have an okay-ish game, but I didn't expect him to actually like have a good game. What did he end up with completely on the week?
He had 3 solos, 1 assist, 2.5 tackles for loss, a sack,
Yeah.
4 quarterback hits.
Yeah. I mean, 21 points in IDP 1, 2, 3 scoring. I was not anticipating that. I thought he would get like I thought he'd get up and like 15, 16 points, but going over 20, I mean, that's a great week. So I was pretty pumped about that.
I mean, his teammate Jonathan Allen right there with him, 7
Mm-hmm.
solos, 2 tackles for loss, or sorry, 2 assists, a tackle for loss, and a sack as well. You know, and a quarterback hit. You know, both of them had pretty good weeks against a pretty decent offensive line. You know, in Cleveland, who was actually healthy for the first time this year, and they still got to Baker quite a few times. For me, kind of a name that you might not even hear the rest of the year. Shelby Harris, nose tackle for Denver. He had 3 solos, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, and a pass deflection. So to get a nose tackle to have those stats against Tom Brady, kind of crazy. So,
Yeah. Tom Brady's definitely getting a little bit more rigid in the pocket.
He still looked really good though.
He's still the GOAT. It was good to see Sam Hubbard come up, have a good game. It was good to see Max Crosby have a good game. Good to see Brian Burns have a good game.
Josh Allen from
Yep, Josh
Thursday night.
Allen. Yeah, I mean, a lot of those second-year guys were kind of starting off the year slow. I mean, all those guys we just mentioned, Sweat, Brian Burns, Josh Allen.
Yeah, Max Crosby tried to one up me a little bit. Told on the Sunday show, I said two solos and a sack. Call it, book it. Well, he gave us 2 sacks, so good on you, Max.
Yeah, he had a
Mad
nice
Max
game.
with the love. So
it was good to have him get up there again this week. And then, you just had some other guys that didn't really impress or let you down, though. I mean, Joey Bosa, 15 points. Chase Winovich with 15 points. Justin Houston, 14 points.
like we talked about, I mean, 40 players got a sack.
Yeah, Jason Pierre-Paul, this is the 3rd week in a row he's had a sack. He didn't have a blow-up game like Shaq Barrett, only 13 points, but he's had a sack each of the first 3 weeks of the season, so I'd love to see that keep rolling. Harold Landry right there with him. He had 13 points. I don't know if he had a sack or not yesterday, but I know he did some other things.
Go ahead.
Khalil Mack, I mean, he hit double-digit points. That was good of him. He got 11. So nice to him to show up.
Afedi Odenigbo, he got 4 quarterback hits. Didn't get a sack yesterday. But Yana Ngakwe got a sack yesterday. So there's that.
Nice. Yeah, he had a forced fumble too, didn't he?
Yep. Had a good game. We were just talking about it. Deion Jordan reemerges, coming in with San Francisco. Just gets signed this week. Gets a sack, gets a tackle for loss. I think he had 3. What do you have? He had 1 solo. So it was all. He had 1 assist, 1 solo, a tackle for loss, and a sack yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he just signed Monday, Tuesday. So it was pretty awesome to see that. I actually thought Deion Jordan was going to go to the Broncos after they lost. What's their face? Miller. So Von Miller.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
Some guys let you down yesterday. Cameron Hayward, only 5 points. J.J. Watt, only 5 points. Cameron Jordan, only 5 points. Eric Armstead, only 5 points. Not what you expect out of those guys by any means. Trey Flowers, again, coming through with a 4-point game. Not really impressing to start the season. DeMarcus Lawrence, we already knew he was going to be terrible this week, but he had 3 points. So people be like, oh, he only played 30-something or 40% snaps, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I'm so done with DeMarcus Lawrence. It's unreal.
Yep, agreed. I've been off the wagon. I was off the wagon last year, so
if he has a 25-point game this season, I would be shocked at this point. Just a 25-point game.
The thing is the games he was going to have, it was probably the first 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were great matchups for a defensive end. Just ask Alden Smith. So, mean, Alden Smith is at a minimum giving you 5 solos a week.
What's up with Leonard Williams out here getting points?
What about Vince Williams getting out here getting points? So
I know, right? What's going on?
It's Leonard Williams, like we were talking about. You got the one kid, Woods from Dallas, getting more points than DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence is complete fade at this point. He shouldn't be on your team, in my opinion.
DeMarcus Lawrence, yeah.
Yeah.
I have like a couple of shares of him just kind of here and there just because he was such a value, in the 18th, 19th round of drafts in the summer. I got rid of him in one league for Harold Landry straight across, and I was so happy to get that deal done.
I traded him for Derek Brown in one league. Derek Brown had 4 solos and assists, 2 tackles for loss yesterday. So,
all right, let's jump into the linebackers now. We had some, again, if you're looking at sleeper, your top 2 linebackers of the week or linebacker eligible guys are the same 2 as the DL. We had Alden Smith and Shaq Barrett, but we'll just skip them. We talked about them, but your actual top scorer at linebacker, if you're talking about your traditional kind of this is the guy I'm playing at linebacker, was Shaq Thompson. That was talk about a surprise.
I think we've been waiting for this game.
Yeah, we really have. 8 solos, 5 assists, 2 passes defended, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. That's some total of 33 points. That's big. That's a big game.
Yeah, big game. Just really haven't seen it out of him. And, the thing is against the Chargers, he's going to get the opportunity. So, and he actually showed out like we all thought he might. Had a big week. Good week out of him. Another guy we just talked about, Shaq Barrett, big week out of him. Matt Milano, what a great comeback week for him.
Yeah. That was one of my big things I did Saturday night was I had him, I took him out the week before because I have him in a lot of leagues. And I had to go through all my leagues and get him back into my lineup. And I remember whenever the game just started and he had that sack and he already had like 2 or 3 tackles, I was like, whoo. I was like, I'm glad to have him back because I know I got him all over the place. It's a great feeling.
Yeah. Also, Kyle Van Noy, a couple weeks in a row, he's played really well. TJ Watt, let's be real, TJ Watt's a monster. We've been on this train. No one as long as you have. 4 solos, 2 tackles for loss, another sack, 4 quarterback hits. And both his sack was long, like 14-yard sack. Like he was back there.
Yeah, he's a man. We got to talk about Blake Martinez. This is his point totals the past 3 weeks, 23, 23, 24. This man's already almost pushing 100 points, getting up there just 3 weeks into the season. He's doing it interesting this week too. 4 solos, 2 tackles for loss, 5 assists, 1 sack, and a quarterback hit. He's not just necessarily racking up monster tackle numbers every week, which, he also can do. That's the second week in a row he's had a sack.
Yeah, it's weird. They're using him in a very different aspect because he's a great tackler. Mm-hmm. But to actually blitz Blake Martinez, you kind of have to with, their team because it feels like they're always battling from behind, and here's my problem is the Giants are bad. Their line is bad. I'm not owning a single player on the Giants except for Blake Martinez, probably. It's Jabril Peppers is hurt, like we talked about. Saquon Barkley out for the season. Daniel Jones looks abysmal. Who I really thought was going to have me because of the new offense. Evan Ingram hasn't looked good. Other defensive players, DeMarcus Lawrence there has played pretty well though. So off and on. Not great this week, though, obviously.
Dexter Lawrence, you mean?
Dexter Lawrence, sorry, not DeMarcus Lawrence.
You're good. We had a nice bounce-back week from old Darius Leonard, which we've all been kind of waiting for. He had 23 points on the back of an 11-tackle performance, 7 solos, 1 tackle for loss, 4 assists, and a pass defended. That pass defended was way down the field, too. That was I
way
watched him.
Down.
You kind of forget, like, how he can run with a receiver like it's nobody.
Dude's got a motor. Honorable mention here, person that didn't play a whole lot yesterday, but he's a rookie, finally getting some play. Akeem Davis-Gaither at the end of the ball game was downfield with Zach Ertz at one play, make sure the pass didn't happen, and also with Miles Sanders, stride for stride with Miles Sanders. And a little honorable mention, like to see that kid play well. So. What about Grugier Hill come up big on Thursday night? 6 solos, 2 assists, a tackle for loss, a sack, a quarterback hit, a pass defended.
That's a big boy game, but he didn't really play a lot of snaps though, so I'm not chasing those points. Carl Lawson too, another guy who isn't necessarily getting the snaps, but this is the second week he's had a big week. 16 points week 1, 2 last week, but then 31 this week. That's a big week.
Well, now let's talk about Carl Lawson real quick with
the Dunlap injury.
With the Dunlap injury, is he someone you're streaming? Are you going to go grab?
I'm definitely interested in him, yes. Even though the snaps necessarily aren't there, at this point, he's kind of showing himself to be a capable pass rusher. He's definitely worth a look. So I'm not shying away.
Who made the biggest goof offense or money wise? The Eagles with Carson Wentz or Dallas with
DeMarcus Lawrence?
Yeah.
The Eagles.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz is he's oh my
Trash.
God. I don't even want to talk about it.
So inaccurate.
He's just not good. And it's so annoying because in the summer, I remember bitching about this in the summer on a couple of our shows. It's like this summer, they were like one of the top 5 odds to win the Super Bowl. And it didn't make any sense because that team is not good. Like, they're just not a good team. And people are like, oh, they're ravaged injuries. I don't think this team has this is the exact same record they have if they have an entire healthy team, in my opinion.
I'm with you,
I
100%.
mean, they could. What are they really missing? Alshon Jeffrey, an offensive lineman.
Yeah, well, Lane
Okay,
Johnson is back. Yeah, Brooks is playing, so
they're just
they just have
not.
not been good.
No, they haven't. They just are not a great team, and they just have. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl, and they might have a good coach, but like he's hot. He has been hiding the inefficiencies and inability of this team for a long time. I got into it with
So
some people on Twitter over the summer, and I just remember being so annoyed and being like, this is just one of the most BS narratives in the NFL or in the NFL commentary right now is that the Eagles are a good team.
all right, real quick. We keep talking, keep bringing a dud. We're just going to bring it out. Deion Jones is still a dud.
Yeah,
Michael Walker seems like he's taken over the Devondre Campbell role. You know, 6
Olakun had a
solos.
massive game too when he
Yep.
was, Yeah, Deion Jones, we've been telling you guys to fade Deion Jones for a long time. I mean, 17 points week 1, 13 points last week, 9 points this week. The guy's playing, he's averaging like 70 snaps a game too. Like the
Yeah.
opportunity for him to be a powerful asset for your team is there, and he's not.
He's
If
never come back from the injury, and we have
he's
been
had, yeah,
there. I
those
mean,
aren't even what we call stud weeks is 18 plus points. Through 3 weeks, he hasn't even hit that. And not only that,
he had
he's
a
trending down.
only reason he got on the scoreboard last week. He had a half a sack, which honestly shouldn't have gotten it. So,
Yeah.
Michael Walker, 6 solos, 2 assists, a tackle for loss, and a quarterback hit last week or this week.
Nice.
But Deion Jones isn't on the list, so we'll just talk about that. Demario Davis, bruh, this dude everywhere last night.
Yeah.
He's just a baller, bro.
He's a beast.
6 solos, a sack, a tackle for loss, a quarterback hit. I mean, big day. I mean, that's a big day for him. BJ Goodson.
I had him, just for the record. I mean, for anybody that looked at our rankings coming into the year, we had Deion Jones. I know I had him at like linebacker 20, and I had Demario Davis up there in my top 13, I think. I think he might have been right at 13. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Some things are just, you can just see them or you just can't. And at this point, if you can't see that Demario Davis is elite, and if you still think that Deion Jones is elite, I don't know what to tell you.
Yep. I got kind of smashed on earlier in the season saying, "Hey, BJ Goodson is like a horrible cover corner or a cover linebacker." Also had an interception yesterday. He had 3 solos, a pass deflection, and an interception yesterday. So,
I mean,
and
he's the guy you want to own there right now until Mac Wilson comes back for sure.
and I think a fumble recovery. Yeah, a fumble
I think
recovery as well.
Yeah. Those are some of the bigger games. Sorry, we had to just take a moment to really dump on Deion Jones because that's super important. But let's talk about some guys that necessarily didn't blow up, but we had some okay-ish games. Nathan Gary with 10 points. Tahir Whitehead, 14 points. Avery Williamson, 14 points. Guys, pay attention to him. He's going to be the starting inside linebacker going forward for the Jets, and he's probably on your waivers still. Devin Bush, quiet game with 13. Corey Littleton, Jalen Smith, and Roquan Smith, all quiet games with 12 points each. Khalil Mack, I mentioned him earlier. He had 11 points. But those are kind of your guys that they just showed up and did just enough not to sink your team. Devondre Campbell and Devin White also with 10 points. Tremaine Edmonds, 9. There's another guy who I was kind of low on coming into the year. Granted, 2 of his games he's either been injured or come back from injury. But I mean, Matt Milano seems to just always kind of outshine him, at least in individual play. End of season stats, maybe it looks like Tremaine Edmonds is producing more, but I mean, when I'm watching games, it always seems to be Matt Milano is the guy who's making the play. You feel like that?
Tremaine has been hurt, and we've been talking about Tremaine Edmonds had such a good first year. I think we had high expectations. You injure like you're ever like torn a pec or anything like that, or hurt a shoulder, especially being a linebacker, hurting his shoulders. I can't believe he came out this week. I really thought he would play. Give it 2 weeks. Matt Milano's just so consistent. We keep talking about how he's not a big play guy, but he's so good in tackles. This week, man, Matt Milano was possessed. So really, really big week from him.
Yeah.
So
Couple other kind of stinky games. Micah Kaiser, 6 points. That's not great. Neville Hewitt, kind of a quiet outing with 8. So Christian Kirksey, but he got hurt. What's another injury we
Yeah,
forgot
so
to bring
Ty
up?
Summers is right there. Yeah, right. I forgot to bring that up. Ty Summers is a grad. Somebody'd been asking about that. Ty Summers is definitely something you got to look at pulling. He's great, coming out of college. Could be a high upside guy. It looks like they've got some guys that they're streaming, and I know a guy that I've always been really big into playing is Curtis Bolton. He looks like he's going to come off the pup soon. I know his rehab went really well. Curtis Bolton's was a monster before he got injured. So he's somebody that I'm looking at later. But Ty Summers right now is somebody that I'm probably grabbing in a league.
Quickly before we shift over to DBs or anything else we need to talk about linebacker wise, Kevin Pierre-Louis, not a great game, 5 points. I put out my rankings tweet and people are always in there, saying player so-and-so ? Or you forgot what's his face, this and that. And one of the guys that somebody said was Kevin Pierre-Louis ? And I was like, he's had a game.
Yeah,
And
he
this
had.
is my top 12.
Why would you put him in? Yeah, not
In
put
my
him in
top
top 12.
12. I'm like, calm down. Let's just all breathe for a second here. He had 5 points. I mean, not like dump it on him or anything, but I'm just like, just because a guy shows up one time or doesn't show up one time does not mean you can fade him. Speaking of which, let's just get to the defensive backs, because we got some forgiveness to ask for out here. Okay. So Harrison Smith, again, I said yesterday, people were getting up like, oh, Harrison Smith's let me down. It's like, it's been 2 weeks. Let's see what he does this week. Goes out, 28.6 points, finishes the week as the 3rd overall defensive back, the top safety. Another guy, people were like, I don't know, John Johnson. I don't trust. You were like this yesterday. So I don't trust John Johnson. Dude, he came out at 21
He beat
points.
Me. He had
two bad games, I mean, it's like chill, like 1 or 2 games of like non-production. You still have to trust your guys. You drafted them for a reason. Steve's in the background mouthing something. I can't completely make it out, but you gotta trust your guys.
I'm big on John Johnson before the season started. He let me down, and he let me down 2 weeks in a row. And then boom, gets 100% of snaps. Tracy Walker, same way. He gets 100% of snaps. They both ball out.
Tracy
both
Walker
had big weeks. Mike Hilton beat me in a week. He jumps in front of Terrell Edmonds, who I'm playing, and snatched another interception. He has another big week. I don't know why they had him playing in the back quarter. But dude, Mike Hilton has got to be the cornerback to grab in that defensive backfield for the as a cornerback. Bro, the Steelers got to steal in that kid.
There's 3 players we really need to, like you said, you just harped on. One of them was Tracy Walker, back out there for 100% of snaps now. Yesterday, we were a little shook. We were a little worried, but it seems like all is right with the world again. Tracy Walker's a 100% snap player, and boom, he puts up 22 points. Like, that's what we want. The other guy, Antoine Winfield Jr., which I want to circle back to him, but quickly I want to touch on Mike Hilton. Like you said, Mike Hilton, I mean, he was a guy who finished top 36 last year. It seems like this Steelers team is kind of letting guys just make completions on them, so the tackles are going to be there. He almost has a now I can't think of his name. Logan Ryan feel to him from last year, where it's like, at this point, just pick up and play Mike Hilton every week. My buddy texted me and was like, oh, who's the best IDP value right now? And he's like, and why is it Mike Hilton? And I was like, I mean, yeah, he's putting up 20-plus points a week. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. But let's talk about Antoine Winfield Jr. What are you willing to pay for Antoine Winfield right now? Like, because I'm in a position where when the Bleeds I don't have him, I want to go get him, but I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'd be willing.
I'm not going to overpay for him, but he is definitely somebody that that I like, and I've been high on him. He had a big week again. Well, not monster, but he had a pretty big week, top 15 or so.
Yeah,
he had 4 solos, 2 assists, a quarterback hit, tackle for loss, a pass deflection.
He's rushing the passer a lot. I mean, they're using him.
Are you getting a Jamal Adams feel?
Yes. I mean, Todd Bowles is using him in that, like, it seems like in that fashion. So he's playing high leverage snaps. He's like the size of Budda Baker, and we know Budda Baker's rangy. I don't know. I'm getting really, really high on Antoine Winfield. And I say that, and he'll probably go out this next week and put up 11 points, but that might be a time to strike. I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm with you. Definitely somebody you got to look at.
Who would you rather have rest of season, Jeremy Chin or Antoine Winfield?
That's an amazing question. Because if I could have both, I'd have both. Because Chin's playing linebacker, and Chin's probably going to be on the field more.
You going to play Chin?
Dynasty?
I'm just saying rest of this season. No,
rest of the season. I love Antoine Winfield Jr. He's a playmaker. Me personally, it's going to be Winfield Jr. because I have a weird love for him. If I'm just looking at straight stats, I know that my floor is probably better with Chin because he's dual designation.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I'm with you though. I'm probably going to go Winfield.
It's close.
I love Winfield. It is close. I just feel like Winfield's more of a true playmaker, and I feel like Jeremy Chin's just a little bit more rudimentary than he is as far as dynamic playability. Yep. But that's just how we only have 3 weeks to look at this. So let's see who let us down at defensive back this week. Who went under like 10 points this week?
Chandler Jones.
Minka Fitzpatrick had 10. I mean, these aren't sinking you weeks. I got to get under 7, under 8 to really be a weak sinker, in my opinion.
Okay, a sinker.
I mean, Jamal Adams left the game before he could really do anything. 6. Landon Collins, 6 points. He played the whole game, so that was not good. That really let you down. I know I played him as he was top 3 play for me this week, as he is every week. Just did not come through. Nobody could really tackle those guys on the Browns yesterday, though. It was weird.
I mean, that line looks really – if the line played as good like with the pass as they do with the run, Cleveland might be scary. So I expect them to beat the Washington football team yesterday, especially when Chase Young went out. It was kind of a grab, and then Dwayne Haskins blows up and turns the ball over like crazy. But, man, let's see.
Yeah, I mean,
Jonathan Abram. If Jonathan Abram doesn't have the interception, he doesn't have a good game. I mean,
yeah, that's very true.
Two solos, an assist. I mean, just let's talk about another one. Let's get back here.
Kenny Vaccaro, just 10 points. I mean, not like sinking your week. Pedestrian. Minka Fitzpatrick, 10. Pedestrian. Justin Reed, 10. Pedestrian. I mean, there's no real week winners in here. Kind of down this area. Marcus May, 12.
People got real big on Troy Apke. Again, he got burnt several times, and Baker barely even threw the ball yesterday. So
I'm about sick and tired of Von Bell, personally.
Oh, bro. Von Bell's
these listen to these. These are his. Well, he isn't though. I mean, this is his season so far. 8 tackles, 8 tackles, 8 tackles. I mean, he has a couple other things in there here and there, pass deflections or whatever, but that's just he's quickly becoming a 2. Like, I'm gonna be ranking him as a 2-3 probably this next week. He's not making the difference making plays I thought he would make. He's not being the real difference maker I thought he would be. I'm just being honest.
I'm with you.
That kind of sucks. So
yeah, that's pretty. I mean, we got small questions I've been asked. Linebacker wise, you going to get Logan Wilson at 5 solos yesterday?
Yeah, and he had that interception too. So that's a good sign for him. I mean, we know Jermaine Pratt is pedestrian, my new favorite word. Akeem Gaither-Davis, I mean, he seems like more of a coverage kind of linebacker, so I don't know how they're going to keep using him. But Logan Wilson, things could be trending up for Logan Wilson for sure.
How you feeling about Chandler Jones at this point?
Dude, I'm not feeling great. I think he'll still have some blow-up games, but to start the season this slow is not great. I will note, I feel like I've noticed he's not quite as explosive as he was last year, but he looks almost chubbier to me. Does he look chubby to you? I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's gained a little bit of weight, and I really think
he doesn't look tall and imposing anymore quite as much as he looks like kind of big
Yeah.
and bullyish. That's kind of a feel I was getting off of him over the last 2 weeks when I've watched. I've been watching these Cardinals games. I mean, they've been the good games each week.
Well,
So
I mean, I went and got Logan Wilson. He's always been high on my, rookie list. I've been waiting for him to finally get his chance. Gets his chance, 5 solos in a pick. I actually dropped Chandler Jones for him literally as we're talking right here, just because I haven't been impressed, and I want a floor guy. I love the big week Chandler Jones, but we ain't getting big week Chandler Jones right now, especially as much as Devin Kennard is playing, as much as Devondre Campbell, Jordan Hicks is playing. He's been rotational like crazy because he's been situational. So Chandler Jones is a little bit of fade for me, and I hate to say that because I love Chandler Jones. So
yeah, it does suck, but you're right. We have some questions in the chat here, guys asking about Mike Hilton. Yeah, I mean,
he's
he's
real.
for real. Go get him. I mean, like I said, he finished top 36 last year in defensive back score. I'm gonna pull that up actually. Where's he at on here? Mike Hilton. Help me find him. He's on this right-hand side somewhere. There he is, 36, Mike Hilton. So, I mean, he was a top 36 play last year. And, I mean, he's only, 20 points off of a guy like Marcus Peters or, only about 30 points off a guy like Tre'Davious White, Kevin Byard. So, I mean, he's for real. Yeah, I mean, Mike Hilton, he looks like he's going to keep producing, in my opinion.
Yeah. Another question about Kenneth Murray. Did he just fade yesterday? He started real quick. Had a good start to the day, and honestly, it put him in coverage. I'm not. That's the crappy thing because percentage wise, he's got a pretty high percentage of snaps over. I'm going to have to look through the 3 games real quick.
Yeah, he's playing like 90, about 90% from what I've been seeing. 85.
Yeah, he played 90 and 91 first 2 weeks. So I have to look at yesterday, but
you got to check out Defense Matters. That's the other show that I do by myself, the ranking show. I was kind of pumping up Kazir White this last week, and 2 weeks in a row now, he's playing 100% of snaps for the Chargers at linebacker. It seems to be taking over for Drew Tranquil. And on Sleeper, he's dual tagged as defensive back and linebacker. So, yeah, Kazir White has happened. Make sure you are picking him up off of waivers if he's still available in your leagues on waivers. And yeah, you can play Kazir White, and I would almost be playing him over Murray at this point. He just seems like he's the one who's the producer. So let's see here. Any other questions over here from you guys? Appreciate it, guys. As always, IDP Army, make sure you tell a friend about the show. Leave a review and a rating. We always like that. And like I said, check out the other show, Defense Matters. I'm doing 1 show a week right now. I've toyed with doing 2 shows a week, maybe a short one with like an injury update, like midweek, and then a rankings one. But I don't know. That's a lot of work. I don't know if I really want to do it that bad or not. But if it would be useful, I might consider it. So, what do you think about Kazir White, though? I mean, is it finally his time to be fantasy relevant?
Well, he finally playing well. He had a decent year so far. Didn't have a great week last week, but he's not somebody that I'm streaming every week. Unless I'm in like a super deep league, he's not somebody I'm depending on. I've actually depended on players that Roquan let me down, this week.
Dude, I had him at number 1 in my rankings, and he didn't do shit.
Had a great matchup, and they just put him, it's weird. They just sat him back, and he was in a decent matchup. Well, I say he's in a decent match. Everybody, the linebackers that have played Atlanta have not played well against Atlanta, right?
Jalen Smith did well against them. He had like 20, 25, 26 points, I think.
Well, that's because they ran the ball. They ran the ball like 18 times with Todd Gurley that game. They didn't do that this game.
True.
So
yeah, that RBBC in Atlanta looks really terrible.
Dude, let's talk about that. Real quick, is Dan Quinn out the door? Has anybody had a worse record? Dan Quinn's like 15-18 since the Super Bowl.
Probably he should be. I mean, there's several coaches that need to be gone though. So
no team except for Atlanta the last like 50 years, and no team ever in multiple weeks have given up a 15-point lead. and he's done it two weeks in a row. No team
But
ever.
that means Todd Bowles would become the main guy, right? Or
Interim,
he would become the head coach. So who's he actually going to call the plays on offense is what I want to know. Because he's a defensive minded coach, so it wouldn't be
bro.
him.
Let's call
Who's there
somebody.
right now? Is it Monken or is it Cotter?
No,
Or
Todd Monken's down. Is in college football
yeah,
now.
he's in college ball. You're right.
So,
I don't know.
bro, I don't know. I mean, it'd be an interim, but you cannot like where they're going. They have way too much talent to even consider being where they're at right now. To be
Same with the Lions.
It's coaching. You can't say it's not coaching. I mean, they were up big, and then you just let off the gas. But you got to play like the Seattle Seahawks and never let off the gas because they play like they're always behind. Which, let's be real, they're not good defensively. So Russell Wilson's a baller. He's gonna win MVP because they're not good.
You're right, and they're playing like they know their defense is bad. The difference between the Atlanta and the Lions is they're playing like they think their defenses are good. So, yeah, and it's just that's not when your defense is questionable, you need to just, like you said, foot on the gas constantly. And, I mean, there are a lot of
getting
good
complacent after starting really hot.
Yeah, exactly. And then people start taking advantage of that. They know they're playing a little too much up to the line. They're getting beat over the top. So,
yeah.
All right. Crazy. Well, that's pretty much everything I've got to offer the world today. You have any more comments? You want to bring Steve in so he can give us a little fact check?
Bring him in.
All right.
I'm cool with
what up, Steve?
John Bostic moving forward. I know that.
I just want to have my my Shelby Harris slimy victory lap there.
Oh, did you play him?
Yeah, I just played him in a league and got lucky there.
Nice.
It's like, oh God, I gotta play him. Picked him up on waivers, and I was like, ew. Yep. But anyway, what do you guys think of Kerry Hyder so far?
Yeah, we talked about him yesterday. I mean, he had a sack yesterday, right? I mean, a pretty okay-ish game. I think he had like 14, 15 points.
Yeah.
Sack 3 weeks in a row, I think now.
Yeah, I don't think he had one this second week, but he's produced one 2 out of 3 weeks.
And, yeah, it's pretty solid. I mean,
he's not Nick Bosa, but he's filling in decently, I think.
Yeah. Eric Armstead has been kind of a letdown. Javon Kinlaw, I mean, he's definitely flashing a raw ability, but he's not exactly running up numbers. So
D Ford's not out there on the field.
He's on that field right now. So.
Right.
D Ford, he hadn't been on a field in more than 20 minutes and
years. It's been a while.
You got to give it to their coach, though, to be we don't talk about a team that's ravaged with injuries. It's San Francisco, and they've won 2 weeks in a row. So on a crappy field. So
I mean, but wait till they start playing some good teams, though. I mean,
we're gonna find it. Well, I mean, that's why they lost to Arizona.
Well, they're gonna have Jimmy G and Debo back and Kittle back in theory in a week or two. So, and maybe even Mostert. So if they can go 500 over the next week or two or whatever until they get all these guys out there, I'm still not sleeping on them. Yeah, the defense is not what it was last year, but Kyle Shanahan's an offensive coach and he can manufacture points. I mean, we saw what he did it with Nick Mullins 2 years ago. That he can.
And they made good moves, man. Getting Deion Jordan, honestly, really good move by them.
Oh, yeah, it was smart. They definitely needed to. They got to patch some holes.
Yep. So, all right, well, I don't really have much else to say. Check out the Defense Matters pod later on this week, guys. And then next week, I'm going to have an article up on Dynasty Nerds, which is going to be like a quarterly report, kind of IDP overall, kind of how things are going through the season through the first 4 weeks. Have some leaderboard information, some snap count information, some injury updates, blah, 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 stuff like that. And yeah, like I said, check out Defense Matters podcast. Leave this show a rating and review. Leave that show a rating and review. Follow us on the socials, which you can see on the screen if you're on YouTube. Tell a friend about the show, blah, blah, blah. You know, all that good stuff. So that's all from me.
Okay, guys. Well, until next week. Let's go, let's go, let's go.